Did you know that Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most famous figures in world history, was not actually French? Quite the surprise, isn't it? Indeed, this charismatic leader, often depicted adorned in his iconic French military uniform, was born on the Mediterranean island of Corsica. But here's the catch. At the time of his birth, Corsica was not French, it was Italian. It was only 1 year after his birth that the island was claimed by France. This unexpected truth reshapes our understanding of Napoleon, a man whose name is so often synonymous with French history. It adds layers to his character, to his motivations, and to the narrative of his rise to power. It begs us to question how much his Italian roots influenced his decisions and his perspective of the world. So the next time you think of Napoleon, remember he was not really French, but Italian. Did you know that Australia once declared war on emus and lost? Yes, you heard it right. In the year of 1932, the Great Emu War took place in Western Australia. It was a period of unexpected conflict, not against another nation, but against a flightless bird, the emu. The war was sparked by the arrival of around 20,000 emus migrating inland during their breeding season. These birds caused substantial damage to the crops of the Australian farmers, leading to an outcry for help. In response, the Australian government sent out soldiers armed with machine guns in an attempt to curb the emu population. However, the mission was not as successful as they had hoped. The emus, surprisingly agile and resilient, proved to be a formidable adversary. The birds scattered and ran in all directions, making them difficult targets. After several weeks of fruitless efforts, the operation was called off, leaving the emus to roam freely. So, in the battle of man versus bird, the birds took the victory. Did you know Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza? Sounds mind-boggling, doesn't it? Let's delve into this fascinating fact. Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, reigned around 30 BC, while the Great Pyramid of Giza was constructed around 2500 BC. If we do the math, it's a gap of about 2,470 years. Now juxtapose this with the invention of the iPhone, which was unveiled in 2007 AD. Surprisingly, only a tad over 2,000 years separate Cleopatra from this technological marvel. So in the grand timeline of history, Cleopatra is closer to us, the digital age dwellers, than to the pyramid builders of ancient Egypt. It's crazy to think that Cleopatra was more a part of our modern world than of the ancient one. Did you know that during the ancient Olympic Games, all wars were put on hold? This isn't a trivia question or a trick, but an actual historical fact. This practice was known as ekicheria, a Greek word that translates to the laying down of arms. In an age where battles and territorial disputes were as common as the changing of the seasons, the Olympic Games were a beacon of peace, a brief respite from the dangers of war. This was more than just a sporting event, it was a sacred tradition. The Greeks believed that the Games were a gift from the gods, a time to celebrate human achievement and divine will in harmony. The significance of ekicheria was immense. It allowed athletes, artists, and spectators from warring states to travel safely to Olympia. It fostered a sense of unity and camaraderie among the Greek city-states, a reminder of their shared heritage and culture. Imagine if we could apply that same principle today. Did you know that the terrifying character of Dracula was based on a real person? Yes, indeed. The blood-curdling vampire we've come to fear was inspired by a man known as Vlad the Impaler. Born in the 15th century in the region of Transylvania, Romania, Vlad III, as he was formerly known, was no stranger to the macabre. His nickname, the Impaler, wasn't just for show. It was a sobering reflection of the gruesome methods he employed to maintain his reign. It's said that he had a peculiar penchant for impaling his enemies on long, sharp stakes, a sight that struck fear into the hearts of many. His reputation for ruthless, bloodthirsty tactics spread far and wide, seeping into folklore and legend. Bram Stoker, an Irish author, immortalized Vlad's infamous reputation in his novel Dracula, painting a picture of a fearsome vampire that still haunts our nightmares. So the next time you read Dracula, remember that the horror has roots in reality. Did you know that fortune cookies are not a traditional Chinese custom, but were actually invented in America? Yes, that's right. Those crisp, sweet treats with a surprise message inside are as American as apple pie. It all began in the early 20th century in California. The exact origin is disputed, but the most common story points to a Japanese immigrant named Makoto Hagiwara. He was reportedly the first to serve fortune cookies in his Japanese tea garden in San Francisco around the 1900s. However, the fortune cookies association with Chinese culture didn't come until later. During World War II, Chinese restaurants across America began serving them as a dessert. This was mainly because Japanese businesses were shut down during the war, creating a vacuum that Chinese establishments filled. The fortunes inside the cookies were initially inspired by Japanese temple traditions, but have since evolved to incorporate a range of sayings from wise proverbs to light-hearted jokes. So those words of wisdom at the end of your meal are not as ancient as you might think. Did you know that the Great Fire of London in 1666, which destroyed much of the city, reportedly only killed 6 people? Yes, you heard it right, just 6 people. This catastrophic event that began on the 2nd of September and raged for 4 days managed to destroy 87 churches, 613 houses, and numerous city gates, bridges, and public buildings. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? An inferno of such magnitude, reducing a significant part of the city to ashes, yet the official death toll stands at a mere 6 individuals, a number so low it's often met with skepticism. With the fire consuming roughly 4/5 of the city, it's not hard to see why. However, it's important to note that the death toll only includes those deaths officially recorded. The actual number of casualties may have been higher, particularly among the city's poorer inhabitants. A city in flames, but only a handful of lives lost, a strange twist in a tragic event. Did you know that the Leaning Tower of Pisa was never designed to lean? It's true. This world-renowned monument, the pride of Italy, was intended to stand straight and tall, but alas, the best-laid plans often go awry. Our tale begins in the 12th century when construction of the tower first commenced. The architects had grand visions of a perfect bell tower, but they overlooked one critical factor: the foundation. The soil beneath the tower was a mixture of clay, fine sand, and shells far too soft to support the weight of the 8-story structure they envisioned. As the years went by, the tower began to sink on one side, resulting in the distinctive lean we associate with it today. Despite numerous attempts to correct the tilt, the tower has continued to lean, albeit at a slower pace, thanks to modern engineering efforts. So the tower's famous lean is actually a centuries-old mistake. Did you know the Statue of Liberty was not always green? Quite the revelation, isn't it? When Lady Liberty was gifted to the United States by France in the late 19th century, she was a shiny copper color, much like a penny. A marvel of her time, she stood tall, her copper skin glistening in the sunlight. Over the years, though, she underwent a transformation. This change wasn't the result of an ambitious renovation project or a deliberate artistic decision. Instead, it was the work of Mother Nature herself. As the copper reacted with the elements, a process called oxidation, it developed a layer of patina. This patina, a kind of natural weathering, slowly turned the statue from her original copper color to the iconic green we associate with her today. This process wasn't instant. It took around 30 years for the complete transformation. A testament to the passage of time, the Statue of Liberty stands as a symbol of change and endurance. So Lady Liberty's green hue is the result of natural aging, not design? It's amazing how much of history is not as it seems at first glance. We've unearthed some fascinating truths on our journey. From Napoleon Bonaparte, who, contrary to popular belief, was actually average height for his time, to the unexpected warfare of Australia's Great Emu War. We've traveled back to Cleopatra's era, realizing she lived closer in time to the creation of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramids. We've witnessed the peaceful origins of the Olympic Games that were once a truce period in ancient Greece. We've explored the chilling reality of the Real Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and the unexpected Asian origins of the quintessentially American fortune cookie. We've marveled at the surprisingly low death toll of the Great Fire of London and the architectural mishap that gave the Leaning Tower of Pisa its tilt. We've even discovered that the Statue of Liberty, now a beacon of green, was once a radiant copper. Remember, history is full of surprises, and the truth is often stranger than fiction.